Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome to this podcast episode. This is your host, Ryan Groth, and I'm on the road. I'm in Atlanta in the ATL, and I had to reach out to my guy, Raymond Little, who is here joining me today. What's up, Raymond?
Hey, how you doing, man? Glad to be here.
Yeah, it's good to hang out with you. So I know we've been friends on Facebook for a while. When I was down in, where was I? I was in Fort Worth, and I had Josie on my podcast. And I shared it, and then you commented, and then I asked him about who I should interview, and then your name came up, and so, man, you got a crazy story, and I cannot wait to dive into it. You're one of those unique stories in our industry in the contracting space, bro. So, if you guys just so you know, this podcast is all about interviewing people who are either owners, sales leaders, salespeople who are growth minded. They have amazing stories. I want to inspire you. I want their stories to help you transform and go to the next level, whether it's, with your sales, your business, your family. I like to integrate all that personal stuff in there too, because it's all connected and it all matters. So, Raymond, what's up, man? Welcome. Thanks for hanging out.
Yeah. Thanks for having me, man.
So, man, you just, you've been in the industry for 9.5 years. And, but let's go back before you got into the industry, because you sold to private equity. You've got money in the bank, you're doing really well. A lot of people want to be where you're at. But let's kind of go back to the part of your story before that. What was your career before roofing?
My career before roofing was basically, I just kind of ran the streets and, was living a poor lifestyle, poor behavior, trafficking drugs, ended up getting a racketeering conviction, served 72 months for that. Prior to that, prior to that, when everything started really kind of go downhill in my personal life was when I was 19 years old. I ended up getting in a really bad fight. Ended up getting 10 years, served 5. Went to prison for that. Wow. Served about 39 months for that fight that day. Came home from that, rolled out to Atlanta, where we're at, downtown. Stayed out for that for about 2.5 years. And I already got my master's degree in criminology while I was in prison the first time. So, just kind of, ran with that, poor behavior, and, end up getting our racketeering conviction. 26 years old, convicted of racketeering, organized crime act. I guess the definition of it's racketeering influence corrupt organization. And about 20-something of us were convicted on that, from Atlanta to Macon, drug trafficking ring. And then I ended up doing round about 72 months on that. And that was definitely interesting. Came home from that, and about 2 years later, still, unfortunately, living in, poor behavior. Came home and ended up getting a possession of a firearm by a convicted felon. Bonded out on that, and my kid's mom ended up getting pregnant while I was on bond. And then I was like, enough's enough. I got to get out of these streets. And then I ended up going into an inpatient rehab facility, which I was there for 7 months. I went to court from the inpatient rehab, and the judge told me, I think you probably have about a 10% drug problem. The other 9% you're a criminal. So she sent me from the inpatient rehab to prison for 5 more years.
Wow. How old are you right now?
40. I'll be 48 Thursday.
Got it. Man. And then, so let's talk about before you got into that, what was life like growing up? Did you have, was it parents not together? Not together. Yeah, my parents weren't together. I grew up with actually 4 parents, obviously step parents, basically my whole life. My parents got divorced around when I was 5 or 6 years old. My dad was actually really successful. He's in the Hall of Fame for racing motorcycles, for flat track Harley Davidson, where they slide sideways the whole time. So I grew up my dad owned a motorcycle dealership. So I grew up in that environment. Really no guidance, I love my parents to death, both of them, I love them to death, but it's just a normal lifestyle from back in the 80s, growing up. They kind of, went to work, came home, drank, and, and then repeated the process. I grew up in a home with, really no supervision. But like I said, I grew up, my dad owns Polaris and Suzuki and Can-Am dealerships. So I grew up having fun, probably with no supervision. And that might have been where everything kind of went awry, I guess, now looking back. And just no guidance. And left the house when I was 16, and
basically.
So what was attractive about the lifestyle you stepped into for you back then?
I think for me, school wasn't for me. I'm dyslexic, learning disabilities. So I never really went after 8th grade. I never really went to school.
Wow, dude.
Yeah. Well, I went, basically for a year. But then when I came back from 9th grade, I had failed 3 classes. I went to summer school and made up 2 of them. But then that 3rd class had me going to the 9th grade homeroom again. I was like, I ain't doing that. So I just kind of jumped out of there. I did go to a homeschool thing, and pretty much bought my diploma, but I was staying in hotels and stuff. When I graduated, I was actually staying in a weekly stay. So
dang. So just not in a family environment where you never order. It was just like you're on your own. So
yeah, I never went to church, never ate dinner together, nothing, no any of that. Yeah, just a lot of they're living their best life.
They're doing their best, but yeah,
they're doing their best. But who knows? My mom's a runaway from New York. My dad's a motorcycle racer. Shit. I mean, so what product? What product do you expect to really get in that environment?
So how long you been married to your wife now?
4.5 years.
Okay, gotcha. And so after coming out of all the things you went out of, why did you decide to change for the better, and how did you get into roofing?
All right, so yeah, when my son was born, January 10th, 2012. I went to rehab June 6th, 2012, an inpatient rehab. Enough was enough. I had been down in prison, and I had seen the families coming down there to see their dad in prison, stuff like that. That's not gonna happen for me.
Sheesh.
Yeah, so I was like, yeah, that's not gonna be me. I've already lost a lot in life. I was already shot, stabbed, crazy stuff, man. And I was like, man, I got to count my blessings at this point and get sober. I got a kid on the way. Or I have a kid here that's 3 or 4 months old. So I just checked myself in the rehab. And when I say I checked myself in the rehab, it wasn't just getting sober. I checked every box. I did a 180. It wasn't like I got sober, but I quit. I started living the right way when even nobody was looking. When I chose to do wrong, I did wrong. Traffic, I did crazy stuff. When I chose to do right, I chose to do right morally and in my sobriety.
So what is your son?
He's 13.
What's his name?
Noah.
Noah. So Noah changed it for you.
Oh yeah, 100%.
Noah
yeah.
Turn around. Why? What was it? And thanks for letting me ask you all these questions. But what was it that? Why didn't you just say, oh, Noah will figure it out? Why did you? Yeah.
Yeah, I wanted to curb it. I wanted to curb the, what was going on in my family tree. Like I said, I love my parents to death, but I didn't want that same lifestyle for my son. He was already going to come home to, not both parents in the household. So he's already starting off with, I guess, one check against him. So I needed to curve that. It has to be curved somewhere. And that was the biggest thing for me. And then also we weren't communicating then. So I knew that she had the upper hand and wasn't going to let me be a part of his life whatsoever. I mean, rightfully so. If I wasn't living right. So it was like, hey, you either choose the streets over your son or your son over the streets. And I mean, that's for most, I would think that would be an easy, choice.
Wow. That's a big moment.
Oh yeah, it's huge, dude. I mean, it's hard to get, just to change it like that. And I was on, when I went into
your late 30s at this point. So you're like,
yeah, I was 30. Yeah, Noah was born, I was 34 or 34.
Okay.
I'm going to do the math real quick. Yeah. So yeah, I mean, it was like, yeah, I mean, I was almost, dude, it sometimes hits me. I about didn't make it. Like I was about to be a loser the rest of my life.
Wow.
Yeah. Cause when you get me, dude, if you're sitting down there in prison, 38, 39, 40, and not discourage anybody, but damn, dude, you're going to have a hard time coming back. I almost didn't make it. Like I said, I hustled hard in the street. I mean, it wasn't like I was, sleeping in dumpsters out there. Like I told somebody the other day, on my worst day, I was still in a, new S-Class Mercedes and snorting a line in a 911, living in a penthouse or, a beautiful place. So it wasn't, coming from dumpster diving. It was coming from a certain type of life of luxury, just from poor behavior though, from bad things.
So what did you start when you started to transform yourself, turn to 180, and what did actually change? What did you start doing differently that you otherwise were doing? And then now you have you're a man of faith. Let's like talk about all of that, like, because that's like you've changed. Hey, what's up, guys? I hope you are loving this episode. Hey, if you're a contractor looking to scale and grow your business through sales leadership training and sales coaching and training for your team, then look no further. All you got to do is text us at 945-800-4220. 945-800-4220, okay? Or just go to our website, sellontSTG.com. Again, if you're a contractor and you want to grow your sales leadership training skills, your sales coaching skills, and you want to grow and help your sales reps get better, we can help commercial companies, we help residential companies, no matter what trade you're in, you just want to transform your business, okay? Come to STG. We hope to see you there. Hey, now back to the episode.
Yeah, no, I'm 180. I mean, completely 180. So I had it, like I said, so when I was in the recovery center, I had to go to court. And like I said, the judge said, hey, then we got to go to prison. I went down there. That time, I think I did 36 months, 36, 37, 35, something like that. And then I came home, and then I had nowhere to parole out to. So I paroled back out to the rehab I was at, which is like, it's like a I love that place, by the way, but because it saved my life. But it was like a 5-bedroom house with 28 people living in it, bunk beds everywhere and everything. So I parole out from Johnson State Prison in Georgia with $43 to my name. And I get dropped off up at the rehab. No significant other, obviously, or no nothing. I get dropped back up there. I get my state issued check for $43 and no clothes, no nothing. So at that point, I'm like, dude, but I'd already been sober. So I'd already been sober 7 months going now. So I'd already been sober 40 something months. Mm-hmm. I was like, hey, dude, we got to figure it out now. So at that point in time, I started I got a job. I had to walk to work, some days, which was, 3.5 hour walk, and then catch a ride home, or sometimes I could catch a ride with somebody.
What were you doing for work?
I was building trusses. So I was beating the plates onto the trusses, like the pre-manufactured floors and the roof trusses, the wall trusses, the floor trusses. They lay them out on a big engineered, table, and you beat these little metal plates on them. And then you go load them on an 18-wheeler, you wrap them all up, and then they go and unload them somewhere, and they stand them all up like, the pre-manufactured houses. So I did that. I was working there. Like I said, sometimes I walk to work or, figure it out. So then I was at the rehab from coming home. And then the rehab needed space, so they put me on their outpatient program. So it's like, oh, dang, dude, now what am I going to do? I don't really have nowhere to go. I talked to my sister. She's like, you can rent this basement apartment over here at the house. I was so thankful. I was like, yeah, let me do that. So I was renting that for $500 a month. And now I got a new job, and I got a bicycle. So I rode 10.1 miles to watch boats all day and rode 10.1 miles back. And then I started running a lot. When I came home from that, I would run, I posted it today on my social media, actually. So I'd ride to work, watch boats all day on these lifts, scrub them down, from front to back. And then I would go run. And then after I run, I'd take a shower, and I'd scroll in my little basement apartment and go to bed and repeat. So I did that for quite a while. At that point in time, I was my goal was to make $52,000 a year.
Wow.
And I was like, dude, if I can just make $52,000 a year, I'll be good. And this is 9 years ago, I was like, dang, dude. And then, so I paid $900 a month child support. I paid $300 every time I see my son, because I had supervised visitation. I paid $500 a month rent. So, dude, I was living on like $80 a month. I mean, every 2 weeks for food and everything else. So I did that. Probably did that 7 or 8 months, and then I got a job. Working at a auto parts place, like a warehouse, like where they do lifts and wheels and tires and accessories for trucks. And this is how I got in the roof. And my buddy came in there with a brand new F-350 and got a lift on it with tires. And it's one of my buddies I knew kind of from the street life. He was always a little bit more professional, but he was out there hustling a little bit. You know who he is. His name's Justin Simpson. He's friends with, he was friends with Anthony DeMarco and all them. He's from the original Storm Chasing stuff. I seen him pull in, and then him and his partner, which ended up being my partner later on, Todd Price, he pulled in a big dually and was getting a lift and wheels and tires. I said, dude, what are you doing roofing? And he said, yeah, dude, come on and go. And I was like, then you say no more. I put my 2 weeks in there because I was barely making it.
Yeah.
You know, I was eating ramen noodles 3 times a day. I had been eating ramen noodles like 3 times a day. Unless my sister cooked something, she invited me upstairs. I've been eating ramen noodles 3 times a day at that point, like 2 years. And then at that point, yeah, so I put my 2 weeks in, and I went over there, and I had bought a 2001 BMW station wagon because I had my bicycle, so I was putting my bike on top of it, and I started riding bikes a lot then. And then so I would just ride the office there, and then we got paid there. We got paid $100 a claim number and $200 a signed contract. So I did that. I did that for 27 roofs, and bought a truck. That's a come. But I'm telling you, when I started getting paid that, I was like, I called one of my friends from rehab. I was like, bro, you better come over here. And on that pay grade, that 100 and 200, I was like, dude, you can get rich over here. And I mean, I really thought that back then because I was busting my butt over there to get, $400, $500, $600 a week. So my first week, I think I went out there and got 5. And then the second week I went out there and I think 3 of them got approved, or 4, back then it was easy. Probably got 4 of them approved, and I signed like 4 more, dude. So I got like $1,400 or $1,200, something like that. It was over $1,000, and that's when I called my friend. I was like, dude, you better come on.
Wow.
Yeah, I was like, dude, you can kill it over here in roofing.
Man. So that's incredible, man, the low that you got to. And I think a lot of people in our industry can relate to that. And, there's a lot of sales guys that started, and kind of that lifestyle. And I'm just proud of you, man. That's freaking crazy.
Yeah.
You pulled yourself out. Yeah. That's amazing. So you ended up working as a sales rep for how long? Because then you ended up starting
Perimeter.
Mm-hmm. You had a partner and you sold, and now you're consulting with that PE group.
Mm-hmm.
I want to kind of help people see that the rags to riches. I mean, it's reality. That's what we're talking about here.
Yeah. So I sold there for 8 or 9 months. I sold there by 7 or 8 months. Then Justin, he went to Florida and to start something else. We started Perimeter, me and Todd, and Lance, my other business partner. He's not on really social media too tough. We started Perimeter. I ran the sales team. I did all the recruiting, training. Mm-hmm. Even after 7 months over there. So over there, when I left, or when we, that company dissolved and went to Florida, we would build 3 roofs a day. 2 were mine and 1 was somebody else's. So I had bought all the way in, dude. I mean, I was like, Jesus, dude, this is saving my life. And that carried.
What was the model you guys followed? I mean, I'm sure you started
door knocking. It was door knocking, and then I actually started. So I didn't like doors because, I'm crazy looking, 6'1", knock on your door, tattooed head to toe. So I used social media. I didn't knock that much. So I just used my social media, and I'd send probably 100 messages a day and said, hey, when's the last time you had your roof looked at? I called it the digital door knock. And I was set, dude. Sometimes I was set 6 or 7 appointments a day, all the way up till today. I still do that. And I hand them out to my team even today. So I would say, hey, have you had your,
how do you find people that you want to go after and ask?
I did it with real estate agents first.
Okay.
That was my niche, because who looks at the most homes? I was like, what industry looks at the most homes? So I hit up real estate agents because they're showing multiple houses. Mm-hmm. They're looking at multiple houses on Zillow. Then I reached out to pest control people. Mm-hmm. I had them. Any home services, I started a referral program where I either give them half the deal or I give them $250 on every deal they sent me when it closed. So that's how I built mine, because I didn't like the knocking. Now I would hop out the truck and go knock. Todd would be knocking, and then I would be in the truck messaging, and I would pull the truck down, right? And then if I had ran out, or Facebook said I'd messaged me people, I'd hop out and start knocking. But I had my phone with me, and I'd be like, hey, dude, I got one that's good. And then we got to look at the one I got off social media. So we built our whole model. Perimeter's whole model was built off working with real estate agents. So now we have a network of about 7,000 agents that we work with, or they work with now, because I'm basically at the house. But that was the model, helping the agents out. Because they're showing so many homes, and we save the deals for them,
And you would do it primarily insurance, or would you guys do
all insurance? 99.9% insurance.
So let's talk about how when you did Perimeter, how fast did you guys grow, and then how did you recruit salespeople? How many salespeople did you have?
Yeah,
let's talk about that whole thing.
Yeah, so a lot of Perimeter, the core group there, a lot of them, to be honest, we came from from my group of friends. I've been in since 8th grade with when I kind of moved out to Gwinnett. A lot of them came from that old life, and then they work there now. So they've been with me since 8th grade. They did that journey with me, and a lot of them are still there that were on that journey, and they straightened their life out. I mean, a lot of them.
You told me that you didn't have any alcohol at any functions. So they all knew, like, you're coming over here. We're not going back to anything like that. Like
Zero.
that was could talk about that. Like
zero tolerance on that.
Do you have to let anybody go?
Yeah, I wouldn't even. Yeah, if you had a beer up on Facebook or you're 1099, I'd no longer choose to use your services on Monday if you did that on Saturday. Zero tolerance. Todd's in recovery too. I think Todd's now at 14 years or 15 years that he hasn't drank. Yeah, I mean, zero tolerance on alcohol and drugs. I mean, like zero. We built the culture there on recovery. Built the culture on there and win 24/7. Todd was, doing bodybuilding. I was racing bikes and, I won a Spartan race, doing long distance, half marathons, 100-mile bike races. Every weekend, I still sign up for stuff. I did a 108-mile race 2 weeks ago in Kansas. But zero tolerance on that. Even, I've had instances now, where, even when PE came in, that's the culture, that CEO stuff and drinking around the guys. I'm like, hey, go. I don't tolerate it, and that did cause some rift there, right? But I'm zero tolerance on the drinking. I grew up in the drinking, and I'm just zero tolerance on that. But yeah, no Christmas parties drinking, no events drinking, no bars, no anything. We had a bicycle racing team where we had 5 or 6 people that were doing long distance mountain bike racing. We have a couple ultra marathoners there. Todd was in bodybuilding. A lot of people doing jiu-jitsu, stuff like that. So that's what basically the culture was built off of.
Super healthy, man. Super
healthy. I mean, sober people that are fit people are easier to manage. They usually sell better. Our whole motto was, hey, we're going to duplicate winning. And we're going to duplicate winning 24 hours a day. You need to win in every aspect of your life. You need to have a healthy relationship with your spouse. You need to have a healthy physical life. You need to have a healthy mental clarity. And you need to have a healthy, you need to come in dressed like you, collar, shirt.
So when you were recruiting, did they have to already check those boxes, or did you transform them into?
They needed to come in there pretty kind of well put together. I would just say, hey, we're just not the company for you, but I'll place you somewhere else. One of my friends' companies. Yeah, if they come in there sloppy and, you got to be ripped, right? But I'm saying they got to come in there kinda. I want them to fit our culture. I know you got to have thick skin. When you're working with 1099s and it's on GroupMe, you got to have thick skin, bro. My guys are a little bit savage, to a certain extent, but everybody wonders,
roast each other kind of thing. Like,
yeah, and they're like,
yeah, well, wait, tell me what that means.
Yeah, my guys are, if you are slipping or you do come in there or if you are getting out of shape, I'm not going to say something to you.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're going to say something to you. Yeah, absolutely. We were building a culture of, that's what we preach. I live it. The brand was on the face.
Like a locker room camaraderie, man.
Yeah.
We would have. I remember playing college ball. We'd have guys that were like, the pitchers were notoriously not the best like shape, and so we would. There's like first team All American, first team All Conference. We would. One of the guys we would make fun of people like, your first team bad bod. Right, your first team, like you're out of shape. You look terrible. Yeah, it'd be funny. But I love that camaraderie, that culture. So you guys fostered a lot of that. It is part of just because everyone's winning. They're
yeah. We want to duplicate winning, right? And then the people that every year I had $2 or $3 million producers, and they're like, "How do you do that?" Well, I don't tolerate anything else. Mm-hmm. No, we duplicate winning. I'm out here climbing with them, so I climbed with everybody till July 1st of last year. Doing pipe boot repairs, attempted repairs. I did all the adjuster meetings. I climbed 6 to 11 roofs.
So would you like give the sales guy commission?
Yeah, I would hand out the deal. So I would, like, the new guys were riding the truck with me, and I would teach them by doing. I'm dyslexic. I don't learn by the book, and I know that in this industry, it's a second chance industry. But a lot of people that are in this industry didn't learn in the classroom, so we learn by doing. So I'd put them in the truck with me and do 10 deals with them. And hand them the deals.
Just let them pay out the whole thing. Just pay it.
Yeah, absolutely.
So when you win, you want you to win. Yeah.
Yeah, and I just duplicate winning, but I duplicated myself. I've either duplicated myself. So right there now, there's probably, I don't know, 120 20 reps in the Southeast. But they either been trained by me or trained by somebody that I trained.
Okay.
Yeah. So
if you ran out of new recruits to train, what would you do?
I would go on Facebook and say, hey, we're looking for
to start recruiting more.
Well, yeah, but I wouldn't hire like mass hire. I would say, hey, I'm looking for 2 guys because that's all I got space for in my truck. And I was very selective of them. And like I said, if somebody come in, I would say, hey, you don't actually, I understand you want to get in roofing, but if you don't, if they don't kind of fit the mold, I don't think they're going to make it in our culture. I just choose not to use their services.
Did you recruit 120 of them yourself, or did you use other teammates?
No, they've all been recruited by myself or one of my managers now. I did all the recruiting prior.
So how did you do that? Just all organic posts? Hey, I'm hiring, or people would tag so and so, like just like they've been seeing you winning. They're like, I've been thinking of you. Like, how would you interview them?
Well, I got 30,000 followers on Facebook and I don't have a blue check. And I've never boosted a post. I've never did anything. So I wanted the product to come from that. So it was either I posted it and people shared it, and then they would come in and say, hey, they hit me messenger. Hey, I'm ready. And I'm like, all right, let's go. Because they already been watching the movement, right? So they already, when you're the brand, you're personally the brand, not the brand now, When you're the brand, they already know the expectations are already there. If you've been following me on 7 or 8 or 9, 10 months on Facebook, you already know what I'm about. So if you're coming in from my Facebook page, you already know what my motto is. So I'm very transparent on that.
So when you're interviewing guys, they're saying I'm ready, but you had to still select them. So tell me about that process.
Yeah. So when when I'm interviewing them, or I say, hey, listen, if you're going to be at the beginning, if you're gonna you're not probably gonna be at little Johnny's baseball practice at 4:00. Just being honest with you, you're not gonna do that. If you don't have healthy boundaries with your wife or your husband or your significant other nowadays, then this probably isn't the industry for you. And also on top of that, it's probably gonna be 30, 40, 50 days before you get paid. So we got that to deal with too, because we got to close the jobs out because we pay on the back end.
Yeah.
So if that's not going to work, then I don't know. If you can't work if you got to have every Saturday and Sunday on that man-made calendar, then this might not be the job for you either.
So tell me about that. Like so you had guys work 7 days a week, or was it 6 days a week?
7 days a week. I mean, back then 7 days a week. I remember me and Shannon, we worked 33 days straight, 28 days straight, 38 days straight.
Would you see guys burn out and take like 4 days off, or was it just no one?
Well, I mean, if I'm getting home at 8, 9 o'clock every night, I put my life on hold, because we just talked about where my life was coming from. I had nothing to lose. So if you're willing to do that, but I'm doing it too. I'm not around the fire pit eating a steak telling you, hey, let's get 100 doors. I lead by example. I want nobody to do nothing I wouldn't do. If we get on 12-12, I say, hey bro, you hold the Ridge Pro, I'm going down on every roof. I'm doing the adjuster meeting, I'm going down. Just hold the Ridge Pro. I got it. I'm going down. So I just led by example. So it wasn't hard. I didn't have to convince them, deceive them, or anything. I would go on our group meet and it'd say, I'm getting home at 9:55. I'd post it on there. Say, good day, guys. And I'd post it on the group meet and show them that I'm doing it too. I'm making the sacrifice too. Yeah, I missed my son's stuff this week too. Yeah, my wife said something to me too. I'm on my 26th day with no day off. Yeah, she said something too. But we'll find the balance when the money makes sense, right? We'll find the balance because a lot of my guys are second chance guys. The guys that were coming to me on Facebook, this was it for them, right? And that's why I chose that environment, right? I chose that to say, hey, we got to throw it all in now. You can find balance when there's something to have balance for, right? If there's a storm on a Friday, sorry, bud. Council Lake, let's go. We got to get it. But I always tell people, hey, if you can't lead them, I just did a post today.
Do you have guys that were married that are now divorced because they couldn't manage it?
No, we preach healthy lifestyle.
Yeah.
Healthy boundaries, healthy lifestyle. They understood. There's a way to do that.
It took time to get the
100%.
To communicate the spouse, set expectation.
Yeah, 100%. But that's why we have every year we've had $2 and $3 million producers. Now some of my higher end guys now they found a little bit of a balance, but a lot of them got $1 million in their account, $600,000-$700,000 in their account. Their wives are happy.
Sure.
That they made.
Sure.
Dude, you put your head. We're probably gonna live to be 74, 75. hopefully in our 80s, right? But on the average, 74, 75. If we can't put our head down for 2 or 3 of those years to get right and get a house, get a truck, get our wife situated, hopefully we can provide a type of lifestyle where our wife can stay at home with our kid. And I guess that's the nuclear family or whatever. And that's what I preach. Most of my guys, their wives and or girlfriends or whatever they have, are stay at home. They don't work.
Do you have any girls in the group that not?
Absolutely.
How many in the 120? Yeah, they're girls.
1, 2, 3, 4. About 6.
That's cool.
Yeah, they climb too. 12,
awesome.
12s, everything. Yeah. I got one girl that's been there, and she's been roofing longer than me, and I've known her 20-something years, and that's what's even cooler. But now they're rock stars too, and that one of the girls is an ultra marathoner.
Heck yeah.
They're CrossFit and it, running the hills in Atlanta, doing all that. They have fitness podcasts and everything.
That's awesome, man.
Yeah, dude. It was something special for sure.
So, what are you most proud of with all that, man? Like when you look back, that's supposed to be like an 8-year run of that.
8-year run.
So you sold when and for how much you feel, if you feel comfortable.
Yeah,
I don't know if you're allowed.
No, it's fine. So we sold May 2 years ago, May. So it's 25. So May of 23, we closed for $38 million.
Got it. So you and your other 2 partners.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And you guys, and then tell me about, I noticed that a lot of the private equity noise has been mostly around the retail re-roofing. Mm-hmm. Sounds like there's a couple of players that like the model that you're in. Can you describe that? Is there a big appetite for that? Because like I'm seeing if someone's listening to this, they're like, well, that's not my model. This is my model. What if they're a storm model? Like how much of an appetite is there for private equity? You guys obviously, so talk about it.
Yeah, they love them. They love the insurance, the storm model. Not too much retail. It's like they have some platforms that are just retail.
Right.
And then we have just the storm models. Obviously, the other 2 big platforms, Strong House and One Solutions, I'm friends with those guys. They're the insurance models too.
Yeah, so there's 3 main insurance players now.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and it seems to be there's like a little bit more on that on the retail, but it's got me paying attention because I think you got to just pick who you are and go, right?
I think so. I think you don't, if you're doing retail, you don't need to do more than 20%. I think you need to be 80% insurance. I think that's
So what would you say, in what markets would you say, if you were to say, if I was anywhere in the country and I were to like focus on insurance, where would you go? Where would you never go? Because there's markets that don't work with it. There's markets that
never go to California, New York. None of that, none of those states. But Texas, Oklahoma, Alabama, Georgia, South Carolina, North Carolina, Ohio, Kentucky. That's the insurance model states. Illinois, those are the rock stars in the insurance space.
Like Minnesota, Florida. What about Florida, Colorado?
And yeah, we went down there and roofed for a while. Colorado's hard to roof in. Florida's hard to roof in.
Why is Colorado hard to roof in?
If you're a newer company and you come to the area, I feel like the homeowners are so educated that they tear a new wrap up. I think they've been through the process so many times that they'll eat you alive just because they've changed there so much. And then also when we were in our little sweet spot, there wasn't a storm there, so we didn't ever go. They went without a storm for I think 2 years. But yeah, I think just having a new rep out there is like the homeowner might sit you down and train you, in the Colorado, Florida. I went and roofed in Colorado. We had an office in Sarasota. We ended up doing about 15 million down there the first year. I don't like sending all my jobs to legal. I like to handle it right there on the roof.
Too much tape.
Don't like it. Yeah, too much red tape. And then it's paying the butt to build there.
Policy. Well, why is it a pain to build there? It's not permitting.
So many inspections and
permitting. That's the
permits, everything. And if you're driving a wrap truck and don't have the number on it, it's 10,000. If all you guys got to be W-2. It wasn't the model for me. I thrive in the wild west. Models.
Yeah,
I'm just being honest. We ended up doing about 15 million down there and pulled out in 1 year. It just wasn't for us. And then I was doing the traveling. So my business partners, Todd was in the office. Lance was doing production. So if we opened up a new office, that was on me.
Yeah. So let's talk about that. That's crazy. So where yeah.
Yeah. So I had a bunch of young door knockers. I got some real rock stars on my team that got the golden knock, and all that stuff. So it was easy. We would go out and we was, get a hotel and, start knocking in that area and get some claims together. call back to the office and say, hey, bro, we're going to need a house. So we would end up renting a house. We keep knocking. Hey, we're going to need to get some crews up here. Keep knocking, start building some roofs. Say, we need to get an office. Then I would go up like every other week and I'd leave one of my top guys there. So as my guys outgrowing me, we would say, hey, you're going to be a market owner, and we would give them 40%.
And then when did you decide, we're going to get an office here and have like a sales room?
Well, you start building about one or two a day. Start recruiting, start moving guys around. I mean, I was fortunate that I have some real rock stars, Jay and Evan Carver, they would move they're nomads, man. They'll move anywhere and they kill it any state they go to. One's in Michigan.
Kids rip them out.
No, they were 18, 19 years old. They're 27, 28 years old now and millionaires. But they'll go anywhere. They're relocated now. They're from Gainesville, Georgia. The one's in Tennessee now, one's in Michigan. But they went out and sold solar. They left me, went out and sold solar, came back, and I mean, they're the real deal. I mean, and that's one thing I can say, not to jump around a little bit, but, private equity, me and Todd got out the way and Lance is still there doing production or whatever he does. We were able to get out the way, and those guys are the face of the company now. They're the rock stars, the Altons, the Tims, the Randys, that were killers here. The head teams up on them now. They're the big dogs, on the platform. And that's something that private equity was able to do and give these guys opportunity, because I couldn't pay them like they do. With all that opportunity there, to really scale it and build it out. But yeah, no, I would stay on the road. So I stayed on the road even during the acquisition. So I did the Regal acquisition, the Humboldt acquisition. And one of them wasn't, what it said it was when we bought it, and I had to fix it. So I went and lived in my Sprinter van, and I was gone every other week for a year. And do the integration. We buy a company, go up there, change the CRM, hire, fire, remove people, bring people on, have everybody in the lobby, changing them over from Job Nimbus to AccuLinks, handing out shirts, going over systems and processes, letting 3 or 4 people go because they're on drugs or don't look the part or don't fit our culture. Then go on Facebook, same situation, hire new people why I'm there, and bring them on, put them before our sales manager, giving guys overrides.
Wow.
But yeah, my wife was real patient with that, because I've been gone, and my son, like I said yesterday, another thing, I went to 2 school events in 10 years during the weekdays. Now I see them every, when I got them, I get them every other week.
You and him in the same town?
No, well, he's about 78 miles from me. But I've never missed a visitation. I don't care. That's why everybody's like, man, you drive so far. I said, yeah, but I drive a $300,000 car to pick them up. So Crimea River.
70 miles.
Yeah.
Not that far.
Yeah. I'm going to pick my son up. But during the weekdays, I did put everything to the side from when he was 3 to 13. I was roofing and it was.
You regret that at all?
Not really. I'm being honest with you. I don't. I love them to death. Technology, you get to FaceTime.
Yeah.
I feel like it, and people smash me for this, but I feel like that's a nurturing stage for them. I feel like that's a mom. I'm just like that's mom stage. I love my son never.
Do you feel like today is like this stage now is like.
This is my stage. I think from 13 to 26, obviously he's going to be out the house, earlier than that, but I think 13 to 26 is my stage. That's just my opinion. But I do have a phenomenal individual. My son's a phenomenal individual. He doesn't have a phone. He doesn't have anything. He's 13 years old. He's been going to Christian school since preschool. He's not like the other 13-year-olds I see. He sees other kids with phones and stuff. I said, and he goes, well, Dad. I said, yeah, but they're not on the plane we're on.
Yeah. I love that, man. So you've been married for 4.5 years.
4.5 years.
What's your wife's name?
Evelina.
Yeah. You guys gonna have any babies?
No.
She's past her. You guys?
Yeah, she's got 3. I mean, she's got 3 kids. They're all grown and out the house. Russia, they start. They're Ukrainian. She's Ukrainian. I say Russian all the time, but she's Ukrainian, and they start earlier. The Pentecostals start early, and they get it out the way. So I ended up with a beautiful 42-year-old wife that looks like she's 26 and out the house and was super successful. I went through a divorce. She was super successful in her life, came into my life with 7 figures and gym twice a day. And, she's
crazy.
Yeah, I've been blessed. And
that's cool, man.
Mm-hmm.
That's cool. So I love that, man. Winning 24/7, duplicate winning. I love that. Talk about, as we kind of wrap up, man, this has been really cool. Talk about who are some people you like emulate or want to have looked up to and followed and said, I'm not going that direction. I'm going that direction. Or, hey, this is, because I would imagine that for you, you're feeding yourself a lot of content, or you're thinking about winning in a lot of ways to just kind of ooze that out over to your team. So, it was a big 180. You kept climbing, go, all gas all the time. Who are some people you've looked up to and have given you some inspiration?
Yeah, Kurt Liddington is I heard him speak in New Orleans at Win the Storm. I think it was New Orleans. It could have been Arizona. But man, I'm gonna be honest with you. When he went up there and spoke, I think Ryan Stewman was with him. But when he went up there and spoke, dude, I was like, bro, that's what I'm doing. And it was crazy because 2 years later, I was on $1 billion panel with him. But what he said, I started following him from that day. What he said, I went home and just did it. I'm just being honest.
What did he say?
I mean, he was just saying, hey, the culture's this. It's, they came from the LA fitness background. It's the same thing. Hey, we're gonna duplicate winning. Everybody's gonna be healthy. We're gonna go out and hit the doors. It was just no excuses. I mean, I have the speech saved. I videoed the whole thing. After like 4 or 5 minutes, I was like, I gotta get it all. I actually sent it home to my business partners. I said, dude, look at this dude. And I said, listen to what he's saying. I said, that's where we're a baby that now. And then I seen them, they're all out in front of Linear Reef. And like, I don't know if you remember the thing, they're like, and he was yelling and they're like, yeah. I was like, shit, we got to do that, bro. And, cool. and yeah, dude. And I just duplicated everything. I followed him on Facebook, Instagram, everything. And we were already pretty much like 60, 70%. That was our culture, but they were a little bit more organized, maybe a little bit more clean cut. They were definitely bigger because they got some boys that jacked, bro. I just said, hey man, that's what I want. I was the way he has. And I tell him that even now, I'll text him. And bro, I'm just being honest with you, dude. I mean, that he had everything I wanted. So I followed that map.
That's cool.
Yeah. And then that was so crazy. That's why I told him. Then we were on $1 billion panel, the PE panel. And I was like, dude, it was like surreal walk on that stage. I was like, damn, dude, I was just in the audience watching this dude. And then 24 months later, I'm up on $1 billion, B with a B, not $1 million panel, $1 billion panel. And we're on that same trajectory. So yeah, dude, I mean, it pays off, dude. You are who you surround yourself with and you are who you follow.
So you got some vision. How did you make the goal? Like, how did you set goals and get everybody focused? Like, how did you tell me, and let's wrap up with this because of time. Like, you had this vision, you had this, how did you get the obsessive, the group me, the tracking? Like, what were you guys doing to ensure excellence and standards? Like, what are the standards like on a regular basis? And how did those standards turn into hitting goals that turned into this?
So I learned everything I learned at the breakout sessions at the Win the Storms. I sat there. We didn't go party. Obviously, you already know we didn't go party. We didn't, we don't do any of that. We go up and we get up at 4:30 in the morning. We all go to the gym, or we all go run, or we all go do whatever we do, or we go run, we go to the gym, whatever. And then we would all go sit in the breakouts. We would have all the breakout sessions where I seen you. Remember, I was sitting in the front row of your breakout.
Oh yeah,
my Louis Vuitton bag with my feet on it in the front row, learning. And I stayed true to those breakouts. I stayed true to the technology that was offered at the events. That's where I found the group me. That's where I found the AccuLinks. That's where I found everything, is by walking around. I didn't listen to nobody. I was blowing the doors off everybody in our area, in Georgia. I mean,
going to events is a game changer.
I mean, I learned everything there. I'm just being honest. I mean, I'm not trying to sell a ticket or nothing, but I mean, I learned everything at those breakout sessions. I learned everything on YouTube. I didn't go out and eat dinner. I don't go out. I don't do anything. I would come home and study roofing, study it all, study discontinued shingles. I was doing discontinued shingles in 2017, way before everybody was talking about it. So I figured it out because I went down those rabbit holes at night for 2 hours because that industry was saving my life. So I invested in it. I picked my pay grades for all my guys. I growed up with most of them, so I want them all to win. So when we sat down, the conversation is different when everybody's winning on the same team. It wasn't me versus them. I set up where once they hit $1 million, I took the 10% off for the rest of the year. So it was straight 50-50. I never bought reps. I'm not giving you 70-30. I'm not giving you 60-40. I'm not doing all that. We're in this together. I went out there and climbed and led from the front. Like I said, when we walk to a house, when we get out of the truck, I'm grabbing the ladder. You can go talk to the homeowner. Don't tell them I own the company. You just do what we do. I'm your climber. It's your job. You see what I'm saying? So just by leading from the front every day, I didn't tell them, I wasn't, some big lazy dude, saying, hey, y'all go get it. No, I'm leading from the front. They're behind me. My whole team's behind me. And then, like I said, when they felt like they were going to outgrow me or whatever, I gave them a market. I gave them a piece of the pie. I gave them some ownership. I gave them some equity. So as a team atmosphere, nobody has worked for me. Everybody's just worked with me. And that's how I kept them motivated all the way till July 1st when I, kind of set it down so they can see if they can run it by themselves.
Amazing, bro. Super inspiring to hear you talk, man. It's very motivating.
No, thank you, man.
Congrats on your success.
Thank you.
So, hey, how can people follow you? It seems like Facebook's your main one, right?
Yeah, Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok. I got some viral videos that did really well with State Farm and whatnot.
Yeah.
So just Raymond Little on Facebook, and then man, I'll be honest with you, I don't even know my TikTok thing, but you'll see it if you go. My Instagram, I think, is RWL612. Not on there. I'm old. Like I said, I'm 38. I know all the young people are on Instagram or whatever.
But he's 38, man.
48. Yeah, I'm 48. I'll be 48 2 days. Yeah. I wish I was 38. But yeah, I mean, just really Facebook is my handle.
Love it, man. Well, hey, that's Raymond Little.
Mm-hmm.
And man, you guys can give him a follow. Love your story. Love your turnaround story. Yeah, like and subscribe. This is we got us on YouTube, and then you're probably hearing the audio as well. We have the Growth Minded Contractor podcast, which I typically like to just do owners there or some other special type guests, and then I have the Sales Athlete podcast. And if you have, that's for sales reps. So we have 2 different events, so 2 different podcasts, and then we have our YouTube channel. So check it out, share it, like it, and that's it. So I appreciate you, man. That's awesome.
Thank you.
Yep.